Sitaram viewers, and welcome to another episode of The Hindu Perspective, a program by the Board of Swaha to bring enlightenment elucidation to the national community about the tenets of Sanatan Dharma, Hinduism. Today, once again, we have our distinguished pundits on our panel, our senior pundit, member of the Dharmandal of Swaha, and spiritual leader of the Sukshanti Bhakti Mandali, Pandit Gyandev Prasad, and of course we have the president of Swaha and the principal of the Swaha Hindu College, Pandit Ishwar Madhu Maharaj. At this time, as we begin in customary fashion, I'll ask Pandit Ishwar to lead us in opening prayer.
Sitaram, dear viewers. As we all join together in prayer, we focus upon Gajanan Swami, that one who is Gyandata, the giver of knowledge, Vignaharta, that one who helps us to overcome obstacles and challenges. If we're able to, we bow our heads and in our minds, Om Ganganapati Namaha, Om Ganganapati Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. Om Yam Brahma Vedanta Vido Vadanti Param Pradhanam Purushanta Dhanye Vishwogate Karam Ishwaram Vatasmai Namo Vigna Vinashanaya. Om Ganganapate Namaha. बोलिए श्री गजानन स्वामी की जय, स्वाहा माता की जय.
Thank you, Pandit Ishwar, and we will jump straight into our program. And this is our third program, and of course, we have been getting positive feedback from members of the public, not only the Hindu community, but of course the national community, simply because there are so many aspects of Hinduism, and sometimes there's the interest to understand some of our practices. Now, in today's program, we will be asking some of the questions of the pundits, and pundits, both Pandit Gyandev, Pandit Ishwar, some of the feedback that I've gotten based on the first program. Firstly, there's some need for, or there's some request for clarification of further information, firstly, and then secondly, we are moving into a very auspicious period, which is that period of Navratri. And we know that Navratri signals the beginning of the new year. And we want to have some discussions around that, so that as we wrapped up this period of, Karvas, we had some major discussions on that. And there were still some questions that were asked. One in particular, we did speak about performance of, daily puja, simplified puja on a daily basis. But the question was still asked, if you are accustomed doing a Hawan on a Thursday as a family practice, is it that practices like that could still continue? And if there are any implications for the family members, if there's any benefit, and is it necessary to do? I know that it will straddle some of the discussions, but for the sake of the viewer who asked this question, I'll pose it to both Pandit Gyandev and Pandit Ishwar, who can give their input. So I'll just pass over to Pandit Gyandev first, as our senior Pandit.
Thank you, Pandit Jairat. Now, we have to clarify, first of all, that God is present all times and all places. That example is in our mind when Sri Rama asked Valmiki where to reside. He gave him certain places, especially in human body. And then he said, wherever you are not, tell me, then I'll tell you where to reside. So if God can't say where he is not, then Valmiki tell him where he could reside. Sri Ram couldn't tell him where he was not. So I mean, God present everywhere. So he bent his head. So then what happened? It was emphasizing the point that God is present everywhere at all times. So that you can pray to God anywhere, anytime. This is why Hindus go to the beach. You remain home, you go to the temple. You go various places and we offer prayer, because God is all the answer of prayer. He's present all the time. So that whenever you pray, and it's not a matter when, how, and with whom, and so on, it is the link between you and God. Now there is, for instance, you have this telecast, you are seeing it on your television, but it's coming through a link, whether it's through the whatever provider, internet provider, whatsoever it is. But there's a link, but you are seeing it. Where's the link? You will not see the link, the link is there. All you're seeing is the picture, you're seeing us. what causes to be on your screen. So it is with devotion. The link between you and God, I and God, anyone and God. You can offer how much? Dakshina, prasad, cloth, clothing, whatever, water, bay leaves, tulsi leaf. You can offer all these things. These are the direction you go. But these things do not bring you close to God. These are things for us to do our part. Use our hands, use our eyes, use our ears, use our mouth, our nose. So what brings us the link to God? It is the heart. If you don't have love in your heart, like Savory, where that song says, Rama, Rama, Rasti, Rasti, Biti Maria. So she is there day after day, year after year, praying to God. All the fruits, all the sacrifices, all the things does not bring one to God. What brings one to God? It is the devotion in the heart. This is why the bhajan says, Sabse Uchi Prema Sagai. Or to put it more appropriately, Sabse Uchi Bhakti Sagai. We have to have love in the heart. So we can do all that we want. This is why maybe people are praying more, but more bad things are happening because it's not come from the heart. It's for ostentation. It's because of, I want to know how I want to offer the biggest amount of prasad. I want to offer the biggest cloth. I want to do the biggest yag. But what comes from the heart? The heart is the connection between you and God. Just remember that. Whatever you're doing, this is why in every katha, every scripture, the sages warned us, man lagakar suno, man lagakar. In Bhagavad Puran, that example is there. When Dundukari, he was the worst of evil. He sat and listened to Bhagavad Puran. At the end of it, he gained liberation. The message of God came, and the Swami, or the sage who was doing the Bhagavad himself, his brother, he asked, he said, how come he's going? He's the biggest sinner. And all of us here sat down. We took part in it, but none of us going to heaven. How are we going to heaven? And what is that messenger of God said? No one listened and put their heart into it like he did. When you listen, nothing mattered. Nothing mattered. So to just conclude, I pass on to Pandishwar. We can pray anytime and all times. And when you pray all the time, you make it a habit. But the habit is just that part of it. That brings no blessings. What brings the blessings is when you sit down and you concentrate that heart, that mind between you and God. Nothing comes in between. Nothing brings you closer to God than you and your heart and your devotion. So pray anytime you want, pray how you want, pray when you want, but make sure you bring that love in your heart. Bhakti say, do your pratna. Bhakti say, prem say. So the first thing to explain just last time, nothing stops you from praying. This is why you can pray anywhere, at any time. The love, the connection between man and God is bhakti, the devotion in your heart. And this is why you have to practice love. If you can't love your fellow man, you can't love nobody, you can't love God neither. So develop that love in your heart for God. And that brings you closer to God. And that brings you blessings. Pandishwar.
Thank you, Pandit Gyandev. And I'll ask Pandit Ishwar to respond. And of course, Pandit Gyandev, he spoke about the attitude by which we are supposed to pray. And Pandit Ishwar, I don't know if you want to speak on a specific question that was raised by the viewer in terms of the performance of rituals during this part. So I know ritual is part of prayer. So that yes, and Pandit Ishwar, I'm asking you this because last time you would have told us about the Panchmaha Yagya, etc. So that there is a requirement to pray every day. And Pandit Gyandev, he in a beautiful way he explained the attitude by which we are supposed to pray. So Pandit Ishwar, if you can give us a little information, just to clarify the mind of the viewer in terms of the freedom to perform a ritual, for example, a Havan during this period of Karawas, because sometimes that is where the misunderstanding is.
Yeah, Sitaram again, and thanks for bringing this question, Panajai. So definitely there is your regular worship, your daily worship, your nitya karmas as we would call them, and the Panch Mahayagya that Panaji just mentioned also, that continues, and we elaborated on that before, and perhaps even again we may do so in a subsequent program. But essentially the daily duties that you would do as a Hindu, those things continue. So by the time this program is, which is in a couple of days, we will still be in the second week of Karwas, just before the start of the Hindu New Year. So just to give some context and time frame also, your own personal Havan, if you do that every day, continue doing that. We give the example of Savitri Devi. Remember, she was able to to see the attendance of Yamraj and save her husband Satyavan. Why? Because every single day she performed Havan, she did her special Havan every day. And so she became so powerful, she got that divine blessing. And with that, she got Divya Drishti and was able to see things that the average person couldn't see. Every day, same place, same time, she did her Havan. Had nothing about Karwas or Adik Mas or Pitra Paksh or whatever, she continued doing her daily duty, her Havan. That's one important point. Then Panaji mentioned from Ramayana, wonderful verse. There's another one that comes to my mind also. Sabha hi sulabha sabha dina sabha desha. In the beginning, first few chaupais of Ramayana, speaking about the Prayag and the importance of, satsang. And this is a verse that many of our devotees of Swaha should know. Whenever we have movement Prayag and we come together, these are verses that our Pandits and the late Shankaracharya would have ensured that we sing. Starting with Muda Mangal Mai Santa Samaju, discussing how important it is to come together in satsang. It says, Sabha hi sulabha sabha dina sabha desha. Any country, any time, any place we can sit and we can do our worship. We can do our satsang, we can pray. So, and if you're coming together, it may involve certain rituals, Havan, and so on. But the point is, your daily Havan can be done. There are temples that would have had their Ganesh Chaut celebration that would have been done also, because that's a vrat that is taken by many individuals, and you do it every single month. And in this case, the Sankashti Ganesh Chaut vrat takes place in the Krishna Paksh. So Krishna Paksh, the first half of Chaitra, and we know the Krishna Paksh, Shukla Paksh rather, is when the Hindu New Year will start, but definitely it still continues. So your daily worship continues, lighting your diya, all these things. What would not have been done would have been the things that we explained, perhaps purchasing land, property, and various other things, as we would have explained before. Panditji, I don't know if there's another aspect of it I may have left out. Anything else?
No, Pandit, no, I think that's comprehensive, and it just leads me into the other area that I would like both of the Pandits to comment on. So we are talking about your basic daily puja, which includes Havan, which is fine to do. But I know that there are various vidhi, and there are different types of ceremonies that are performed by Hindus. For example, Yagyopavitam, Vivaha Sanskar, etc. So if you can comment, just to give some clarification in terms of during this period, while we do pray on a daily basis, we have covered up, we looked at the attitude of prayer. If you're accustomed doing Havan on a daily basis, you continue doing that. But Pandits, if you can just explain firstly what is a vidhi or paditi, I know we have different terms for them. What that really outlines in terms of the format of ceremonies, and if during this period there are any restrictions in terms of the type of vidhis and the type of ceremonies and sanskars that are performed in this period.
Let us explain, as we said just now. Good question, Panaji. Vidhi simply means formula or way of doing things. So you have various vidhi or paditis. Now in India, you may have as many vidhi and paditis as there are people. If you go Mathura, you go Agra, you go Rameshwaram, you go different parts of India, you'll find different vidhis, different paditis. Simply means there are different ways of performing puja. Each one is based upon their circumstance and the area they are in. Now I want to add here that right now, we know for a fact that eventually Adhik Maas will be coming up. But do you know in South India, there's nothing like Adhik Maas? Because South India doesn't follow the lunar calendar, they follow solar calendar. So there's nothing like that. So we come back to the point that each place, it differs. So when you go do a puja in India, North India, it's different from South India. The what you call the performance will be basically the same. Let me give you a simple example. I want to build a house. I use concrete blocks, stone, marble, tiles, whatever. And next person want to build a house. Now, the modern thing is they build glass. They build glass houses. In the past, our ancestors live in dirt houses, gobar. So the idea is the material use is different. but the purpose is the same, to live in. So it is, no matter how you do a puja, whatever you use, the purpose is the same, to pray to God, to develop yourself, and to become one with God. So the purpose of the puja is to become closer to God, to unveil the divinity within us. So we may use different ingredients. Some people use supari, palm leaf. Some people do not use that. So we are saying bidhi, it simply means how we use it, what we use to pray to God. And this is why in Ramayana it goes back to that very same point of Valmiki. You can use your eyes, your ears, your hands, your mouth, everything you use goes towards God. And this is what the meaning of yoga is. Yoga means union with God. How do you come union with God? Is when you use everything you have. This is why we said money, house, car, whatever you have. It's to use it for the benefit of yourself to go closer to God. So the bidhis are different. The paritis are different. And all these are made up by men. As a matter of fact, there isn't any, or I won't say that there is one or two instances where God gives instructions. And that one of, I'll give you one now today, that when Bhagwan came as Baman avatar, Baman, that short one, the dwarf, he gave the paditi, he gave the thing how to perform a Janil Sanskar. He gave it. So all the Diaskin and this and that here was from him, from his time, where he sanctioned it. He performed Janil Sanskar. It was performed for him by the sages. So he sanctioned that. So God sanctions the paditi. Now the paditi we have, the Shodash paditi, where you use 16 things to pray to God. Some people have parts, and then Ramayana have Manas Pariti. Manas means you pray to God only, through your mind, nothing else. So all these things are just different. But the bottom line is you're doing it to develop yourself. So Paritis are different as there are many different peoples, religions, and regions in the area. Panditji.
Thank you very much, Pandit. That was an excellent explanation, and that makes it clear. So Panditji, Panditeshwar, Pandit Gyani spoke over the Vidhi and the Pariti. In terms of the sanskar, and the various sanskars, I know that you'd be familiar with most of them, if not all. Could you tell us if there are any restrictions in this period in terms of what should be performed or advised, or to be performed or not be performed?
No, certainly. And of course, we're still speaking about the Karwas period, or karmas, as we say. And the thing is, I go back to the term that I use, which again we'll be quite familiar with also within Swaha. Many of our publications done by Pandits of Swaha, the Paramachar also, and like Panagyandev and Pandits of the Mandal, there are certain terms you would have heard when we speak about our actions or karmas, Nitya karma, Naimitic karma, and Kamya karma. So we have the daily duties, which we keep saying continues, unabated. But then you would have your Naimitic. These are, special observances, religious observances. If religious observances come up, of course, you keep it, like I mentioned, the chout. But the special, optional, and things like sanskar, things where we could cater for and do at another time, those things are not done. So optional acts, I will put it as Kamya karma, Mahayagya, choosing to do, selecting a date for sanskar, whether it's Viva sanskar, Upanayan or Janil sanskar, all these things you will put for a time that is more auspicious than for the performance of such. So in fact, there are some where it's mentioned, of course, the first half of the year, which is called the period of Uttarayan, where the sun has the apparent northward movement, may be auspicious, more auspicious for the performance of certain types of sanskars and observances. So definitely during this period, such sanskars will not be done. But then you would have certain obligatory rites that have to be done. So of course, if Shrad Karam then, so someone were to die, it isn't that because the Madhyam Shodashi or the Bhandara falls within Karwas, there's a problem, and so we have to put it off. Or you do the cremation later so that the Bhandara falls afterwards. Those are questions I remember people asking in the past, right? I think there's better understanding now. You continue with that. So that is done. If it falls right smack in the middle of this period, that is done. But other sanskars where we can choose the most appropriate time, we select a date out of this period, and we will do that. So definitely those things that are optional, those things that are where the date is not set then within this time frame, of course, no. those should not be done, or it's advisable that they are not done until after. Right, Panditji?
All right.
Paneji, let me just
So yes,
add something, please.
Yeah.
Paneji, Paneji,
yes, yes. Go
speaking
ahead.
about this, what not to do and what to do. There's only one period of time where you restrict the performance of sanskar, that is in Pitya Paksh time. It says Pitya Paksh, wedding must not be done. That is the only scriptural injunction there is. And there's a reason for that. That Pitya Paksh, weddings are not done. Anything else can be done, anytime. So during this point in time, you do anything, anytime, anywhere, except Pitya Paksh, when no weddings are performed. And there's a good reason for that. The wedding is for the way call it the creation or continuation of the generation as such. In Pitya Paksh, you're not studying future generation, you're thinking about the past generation. Those have gone by. So the emphasis is on those who have gone. So Pitya Paksh, you're confusing the issue. You're going to talk about future generation. The wedding is basically for procreation, becoming Grihast Ashram. So for Pitya Paksh is banned. Definitely the scriptures have that. Vritaraj and other scriptures have it. No performance of weddings during Pitya Paksh. Otherwise, all through the year, otherwise, no matter when it is, you can perform any sanskar.
All right. So thanks, Pandit. And I think that the point is clear that we have our Nitya Karma, Naimitya and Kamya Karma, and through the year. And of course, at the end of the day, we still have to consult because the realities are there are many factors to consider. And this is something that, even as Hindus, we need to understand. So sometimes we look at karma, so we look at Adhik Maas, and we say that it's not a good time. But the reality is that whether you want to do a wedding, you want to do a yagya, it is not only one factor that you consider. So that while we are presenting these, parameters and these discussions to you, ultimately, they still need to consult with your gurus and your pundits, etc., before you decide these dates. Okay, so I think that would have, brought some clarity. We know for sure that you do your daily obligations, you have your vrat, etc., you perform that. And of course, in certain circumstances, if the situation is right, if there are certain sanskars that are set to be performed, then those could be performed. Pandit Gyandev, you mentioned a point about the evolution of the vidhi. And we could probably talk about that a little bit. And in particular, how Swaha has helped with that in terms of bringing some level of enlightenment, because the philosophy of Swaha is enlightened rituals. And I mean, we haven't said that as yet in the program since we started this new season, but that is what we are doing. We are trying to bring enlightenment so that we don't perform blind rituals. Now, the reality is that we'll never understand every single thing and the reason for it. But as far as possible, all we need to understand is to the extent that, we do it with the right faith and love and belief, that when we perform these actions, that we are not doing anything wrong. And sometimes, we do the right things, not because we believe it's the right things, but we do it out of fear, rather than saying that I am motivated out of love or devotion to do the right things. And, it is programs like these and pundits like you all bringing that enlightenment, that elucidation, that really guides our devotees. So that some of the changes, I can tell you, I will give you one, and maybe the other pundits can give the others. If you look at how our temples are set up, when you set up the bedi and ingredients, etc., that we use, one of them, I remember that, when I was younger, you always see that the pundits would break piece of the leaf, the mango leaf, and they'll take up some of the rice and the ghee and the sugar, and they'll place that as the food. Over time, we have seen an evolution in that. So that instead of that, we make the payasam or the haveshanam, whichever term is used, the kheer, the sweet rice, and we use that in place of it. It is the same exact ingredients that they use, except that it is cooked. In some places, when the murtis are being washed with the panchamrit, you'll see some persons, they'll use the milk separate, then the ghee, then the sugar, the honey, and in some cases, all are mixed, and that is used to bathe the murti. So, but conceptually, the idea of the puja, which is to worship the devatas and the devis, remain the same. So that we have had some changes, some evolution in the way that, we perform our puja, etc. And sometimes it brings confusion, because as Pandit Gyani was saying, there are as many vidhis, variations, as there are people in the world. And sometimes you may see Pandit Gyani do something one way, Pandit Ishwar, Pandit Jaidat, Parmachar, and we may believe that, well, there's no consistency. The idea here is to bring across the point that once, we perform that puja and the main objective of the puja remains the same, then there are different ways that we can do that. In some cases, it may use a pan leaf, other cases, it may use a people leaf. The idea is that it represents an asan. And that is why, we need to understand and engage ourselves in the discussion, go to the temple, speak to the pundits who will bring this enlightenment to us. So that, on that point of the evolution of our practices, especially in Swaha, maybe some of the things that we are doing differently now and the reasons, just to give our viewers an idea of, the forward thinking of the organization and what we really mean by enlightened ritualism. I'll ask Pandit Ishwar to give an example. I'll ask Pandit Gyanu to give an example.
So definitely, Panditji, there have been tremendous strides and changes, really, and modifications in the way things are done. So that you give one example, yes, mango leaf would have been used, and it still is used. I mean, it's a tradition. Many people, sometimes you go and they now would prepare it, and pundits will still use it. So we may use it, and you scoop up the sweet rice or the kheer and your other prasad and dahi and whatever you may have, and you offer. But really, the mantra that we would chant and the offering itself would entail also placing the pan leaf. So sometimes the mango leaf would have been used. That itself was a modification made because perhaps we didn't have enough pan leaves. So you could put the pan leaf, spread out the pan leaves, and you make your offerings and so on. But I think the point being made, I mean, is bigger than that. The changes and the evolution really, and it is evolution because it's constantly changing. It is dynamic. So you may see something being done today by I could use myself as an example, and then I may change 5 years from now or next year because I get a different understanding. By the end of it, the essence remains the same. The intention, the philosophy is the same. So if I were to quote a verse that I hope no one thinks is out of context, right? The way in which we pray and the way in which we approach God. And I go to Sevri Katha. And from time to time, I do that because I love Ramayana the same way that many of our viewers do. And these are verses that many of you may know. Kah Raghupati sunu bhamini bata mano ek bhakti karanata. Ek bhakti karanata. The only thing the Lord cares about is the love that you offer to him with. The love that you have for him in your heart. Sri Krishna Bhagwan says the same thing, offer disinterestedly. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Yome bhakta prayachiti. So a drop of water, a fruit, a flower, offer it disinterestedly. And not disinterestedly, not meaning that you don't care what you're doing, but you're offering it with that belief and that firm faith in your practice, the ritual of making that offering, but with that belief in the Lord, faith in the Lord, and you will be blessed. So if Pandit Jaidat tells you, offer it this way, on this side, the right side, sometimes I go places and I will see the now set up a certain way, and or now may say, well, Pandit, I'm not accustomed to how you want it arranged. So that's fine. You place it. If I want to change it as a Pandit, is Pandit's prerogative too. You change the position of the murti or the shaligram or wherever you shift it to where you want. But really, devotees, these things are secondary. These things are not as important as the intention with which it is offered. And this is one thing people must understand when we talk about our rituals too. Recently, I heard we had Shivratri, and not I heard, and to say it, I hope nobody feels offended. I was asked at least 3 times that I recall the Bel Patra, how to offer. If to offer it, with the veins facing upwards or down. We talk about Danwat and people asking whether, it symbolizes that or simulates that action of one stretching on, flat on the floor. Is immaterial, really. You offer. When you go to Shivpuran Katha and you hear the hunter, each time you pull the arrow and the bale leaf fell off the tree. Who knows how it fell? Whether it fell face down or face up, it really doesn't matter. Shivpuran doesn't even mention that. But these are the things that people, it plays upon their mind. How should be offered, right? As one pundit of Swaha, senior pundit, put it, tell them, put it, offer it on the tip, balance it on the tip. And if you don't balance on the tip, something wrong. Because it's nonsensical. But these are the things that people seem to hold on to. So for me, Pandit Jaidat, you're asking me to give an example of modification changes. There are many, and there will continue to be many, because we are constantly evolving, because things are changing. Sri Ram, when he sat, and forgive me if I'm going on long, to do Rameshwar Puja, right? Check Rameshwar Katha. Is a dirt lingam or parthiv lingam or with sand that he made it, right? So now they say, well, if you don't have a Narmada lingam, we're not blessed, and your temple is not blessed. And yes, we can do better and we can improve. So what if for 100 years in your little Kutia temple, 50 years using a concrete lingam? So you wouldn't get Lord Shiva blessing? So think about it. All these, we talk about rituals, but the changes and modifications that are being made, sometimes we lose sight of what is most important, that the intention, the love, the bhakti, devotion that should be there. And again,
So let me just continue what the question asked by Jaidat about the evolution of the practice. And this is why we original name Sanatan Dharam. The name is not static dharma. They don't remain the same all the time. Sanatan means ever changing, eternal. They be all the time. And this is why every practice of ours change from time to time. Many practices. And I'll just give you a simple example, which I may accept it without question. What is Abhishek? Not Bachana, not Abhishek Bachana, Abhishek. Where I hang this thing over the lingam, they put a hole in the lota, and water keeps dripping. Where does that start from? Who give you the according to the old people, the praman for that? Who gives you the scriptural injunction for that? That is what we call automatic devotion, I call it. Automatic devotion. I just put water, instead I take a load of water and offer in it. And now when you do it, I'll put that thing and let water drop. And people accept that as nothing. That change. Now for me, I have changed for the worse. That means you take out yourself, but you sure saying that. You put yourself, put your mind in it. But now you put automatic devotion. You put a lota for water drop and say, offer in jal, yes, I know Abhishek. That is my opinion. I'm not saying it is, your opinion is the right thing, but I will not do it. I'm not going to do automatic devotion and shortchange my offering. Where Sri Ram in that Ramayana says, those use their hand to worship God, which I this person's heart. So the next thing is how going to automatic devotion. Based on that, if you accept Abhishek, then I'll suggest to you, go tomorrow, buy a nice tape recorder with plenty of memory or computer, tape Ram, 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 and play it forever afterwards. You want to sing it again. So you get blessings. That is automatic devotion. You say Ram, Ram, Ram on a tape, and you put it to play. So every morning you get on, you press the knob, you Ram, Ram, Ram on the tape. So you get blessings. This is what you're talking about. People, you can for a shortcut. This is what Kali Yuga is about. And this is why in Kali Yuga they say that beautiful thing. Kali Yuga ek punya pratapa, mas punya hui nahi papa. In Kali Yuga you get blessings by just thinking good. But in this case here, people want not to do things. What they want to do is get shortcut. So change has been happening all the time. But there's no change when it comes to devotion. Your mind, your heart, and your body, bade bhagya manushya power. This is why God gave us this gift to do with our body. Everything you use, you get, that bhajan says, Tumhi ho mata pita tumhi. And the line says, Jo khil sake na wo phool hum hai. That flower, which has been used in devotion, has become holy. The rest of flowers in the tree, just dry, just blossom and dry and fall off. So if we don't use our body for devotion, our body become like that dry flower, not in use. So that bhajan tells us, we must use whatever we have. I will mention so beautifully so many times. Whatever we have, the body, the resources, everything to bring yoga, union with God. So don't have automatic devotion. Don't have shortcut devotion. Don't change for change's sake. Or say, I'm modern. So you have this kind of funnel on, put a thing and you put water and you go on. No. You put a tape and tape lane, ram, 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 and you go on. No. You have to be there. This is why the body is there. So for all of us, let us keep on doing puja. That's why puja is important. This is why people ask, Baba, why you have to offer salt, offer rice, offer this, offer using your hands. Then we hear the Chalisa of the part, as. Then we repeat the mantras, Om, Om, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Swaha. We use our body, use everything we have for devotion. So devotion will be changing, but the fundamental, as Janet mentioned, remains the same. So let us not go to automatic devotion. Let us do devotion from us. We are not robots. We are not create a new system just to get ourselves out of it. If we get yourself out of it, you're not getting blessings later. I want to conclude, Jared, for a pass on back to you. Ishwar mentioned 2 points. One is now, and one is puja. So the now and the puja so are not authorities on puja. Nothing gets me more mad when the now and tell me what to do. It's not ego, eh? If I want to be a now, I'll be a now, and you want next now discuss what I want to do. But I'm a Pandit trained on a Swaha, on a Sangashara tradition, so many things about how to perform puja and so on. But don't come and tell me, I know people take palm leaf and a katodi tip. Why katodi tip? They don't want to God. You hear foolishness like that? You can't foolishness here coming up all the time. It amazes me. Eh? Now that yes, he's some cutting tip from palm leaf to offer it. For God, man, these fool, Ishwar mentioned. What Prabhupada Sri said, man hoeka bhakti karna aata. You have no devotion in your heart. You have pakhan in your mind. You have stupidness in your mind. You want to choke God with a palm leaf. And so many others come up for this. Now, I'm not concise now. Eh? You tell them, you are now, you do what you have to do. You come like a clean any building, going to tell you the manager what to do. Your job is to clean, keep place clean. The manager will run the business. So it is the Pandit, is the one who is in charge of the sanskar. And he must guide the sanskar. And Pudaso, oh God, we're going to start here for the Pudaso, I know you are Pudaso, right? But I don't think you do it. Pudaso, what color? Flag the foot. For which devita, which devi, and what you offer. And when you must, if Shirati come and you have cane juice, not good, not good. You must get cane juice. And you have patasa, bolata, whatever. If you have that, nothing going good. And Navratri coming up, you must get this cake, does it make chili cake? Where is a chili cake must be offered to Durgama? And all these things, these we call paraphernalia. These pakhan things, not devotion. These are called trivial things that come up because some people like that. No problem. If you take a chili cake and you offer love in your heart, the Sochima, she'll accept it. You take a chili cake and say, Ma, I make chili cake for you because I know you like it. You know what God like or God doesn't like. We all know that. So forget the puja store and forget the Nagra. Now, who does do all kind of foolishness? So Pranjaya, back to you.
Pandit,
One thing I can add something, but no,
yeah.
just to say no, and Pandit Gyanev has a point, but I mean, I just want to say we love our nows and appreciate our nows, right? Just to add that.
No, definitely. I
Because
think
they
we
do
have,
it,
yeah.
The
they
good
do-
ones, the
We
good
know
ones.
which now to use, right? I
the
mean,
good way.
yeah, now that have the respect and you know,
Yeah.
the now that you work with and recommend.
And who know the place.
No, and I
Yes,
want to
yes, and they're very helpful. Go ahead, Pandit Ishwar.
sorry. And well, anyway, this is the whole point of having the three of us on screen at the same time, right? That we could be talking and so I hope it's not sounding like noise to those who are watching here and 2-3 people talking at the same time. But there's Panagande will know these, having spent quite a while in India, right, on scholarship on a couple of occasions and touring on many other occasions. There's Kul Riti, there's Gao Riti also. And in different villages, you have slightly different practices. So I've been to India. I've been blessed to be to various cities in India a number of times. Thank Bhagwan for that. And Swaha also. And many of us have benefited. But tell me, have you anywhere in any of the temples have we gotten Sohari and Lapsi? Do you get rot as a prasad? What you get almost everywhere you go, similar prasad you get. You may get panjri, you get laddu, you get something like pira. So again, having all these things is wonderful. If you can have it, whether from the puja store, it's our tradition. It's a cool riti, then that becomes our tradition, our practice. Your grandmother, great grandmother, mother, everybody coming down the line made Sohari and Lapsi, and that is recommended. We use it. But you may go to a Devi temple, you go to Mahadevi temple, Chandi Devi, Mansa Devi temple in India. Nothing like that. They offer different types of prasadam. And it isn't that you're not going to be blessed. So don't be bogged down, don't be harassed. I want to make that point because sometimes people will say, well, Baba have puja, but they feel hurt because They're doing it all on their own. They don't know how to make the sohari and lapsi properly. So they have the mohanbog and they have the fruits. Sure, how with that? Offer that. That's the point I want to make. You offer for Hanumanji and you're worried because and has happened. They say, we will break the road to offer, and they say, Baba, I'm so sorry. I don't know if I make the road correct. First time I try to make it. You make it and offer it with love. It doesn't matter. Of course, you want it to taste good too. But don't be bogged down and harassed if you don't have everything as the way you feel it should be. Right? And I hope the point is clear. Panditji, yeah.
Yes, thank you both Pandits for your contribution. And yes, so as Pandit Ishwar said, we do have the nows who are, they work along with the Pandit, they understand that, they have a role to play, they don't try to dictate. And we do have this situation, as Pandit Gyan was saying, you as a Pandit, you would guide a family, and then they will come, they may tell the family certain things, this is bad time, this is a wrong time, we don't have to do it so. And then it create that doubt in the mind of our devotees. And it's a message to the devotee also that I don't know how the other pundits deal with it, but my way to deal with it is I would say to the persons that if you come to me as your pundit and I give a direction, I expect you to, I will listen to what you are saying, but ultimately I'm the one to guide you. If that is not good enough, there are many other pundits. It may sound a little arrogant, but that is just the reality. So that if you go to a pundit, you need to respect the pundit in that sense. If 550 people tell you something different, would you question everything? So that we need to be careful about that. Now, Panditji made the point about the Abhishek and all of those things. And Panditji, I know that in our own homes, we take the point that in our own homes, we don't do things like that. But we do have this situation with our temples where we are not always able to remain in the temple and to do these things every day in the temple. So that you would notice that in our temples, not our home temples, but let's say the Swaha centers, you would have the lingam, you'll have the lota, the water dripping. You would have a light on because somebody is not available every day to light a diya, but you want to ensure that there's light inside of the temple. So you leave on a light. We'll have the water dripping. Someone will probably go fill it once a week. When we have services, etc. So that Pandit Gyandev, in those situations, I know that you're not referring to that, but I'm just clarifying it in case anyone misunderstands what is being said. What Panditji is speaking about is that in your own home, you wouldn't hang up something and do automatic puja because you are living in that home. You can find the time every day to do the puja in the proper way. And then the final thing, before I ask some of the other question, in terms of the point that has been made is that, what matters the most is the love in your heart, and that drives everything that you do. And therefore, the ritual is not the most important thing. So whether, the pan leaf is up or down, whether you use pan leaf or you use katahar leaf, those things are irrelevant because what matters the most is what is in the heart. And, just, a sabri katha again. And that's such a beautiful katha. When she wanted to offer the fruits or the food Sri Ram, what it says, Kanda Mulpal Surasati. Kan Mulpal, fruits, roots, bulbs, and surasa, so sweet, and the rest, juicy, right? So rasaleo sorish, they were juicy and very tasty. Kan mulpal, that's very simple. That's just fruits from a tree and roots and bulbs and all of those things. That is all she offered. Nothing elaborate, nothing fancy. And it said prema sahit prabhu kai, that prema sahit with love, that Lord, he ate it and Bad Bakan, over and over, he was praising and complimenting that. And the message is very simple, that Sri Ram, he is Bhagwan, and he's complimenting something as simple as fruits and roots and bulbs. Nothing elaborate, but why is that? Because it was offered with bhakti. And the point that we are making to our viewers and to the Hindu community is, yes, there are vidhi, there are rituals, there are certain recommendations, there are certain things that we do, but not everything. We can say that if it is not done in this way, that we are doing something wrong. Consult, as I said, but ultimately what matters the most is what is in the heart. And Sri Ram also said that, in Uttarakhand, he asked a question that, he said, bhakti is the easiest way to reach me. He said that. And then he said, what is so hard in living a good life? What is so difficult? All you have to do is don't have bad mind, don't have, a mind that is filled with guile and all of that. Live in a positive way. And it is what Pandit Gyanu spoke to. The attitude is more important than the ritual. So that we are saying, yes, there's a place for rituals. Rituals are important. But what is more important, what is the energy for that ritual to actually work is really the attitude that we have. And the attitude that we should have is one of bhakti. That is the advice that is given by Sri Ram. He says it's the easiest path to reach me. We could follow Gyan and we could do all sorts of things. But he's saying that the easiest and safest road to reach me is through that path of bhakti. And if bhakti guides us, just as in the case of somebody, then we are going to get the blessings of that Lord. So that, I just wanted to just put in my 2 cents there.
Let me just add
Sure.
something here. We like to extend condolences upon my dear, his father has passed away.
Yes.
And I just want to add into that the joint reference we think about now. I don't always call down when you're going in the cemetery, when you're going to the cremation bank. Them fellows who has prepared the wood and things. I don't always call them now, I don't always call them. So sometimes you go in the cremation ground, and these funeral homes fellas, they don't want to tell you about what to do. If I tell them, light one of the stick with the fire and go wrong, light fire and go one time. So they start, them fellas don't they start that foolishness too. I don't know who qualifies them as someone in ritual and so on. So if I have the now and you have the fellas in the cemetery, in the cremation ground, who will tell you what to do. No, they will tell you to prepare the body to burn it. That's common sense. But don't tell you about the rituals, how to go around with the stick, where to touch, and how to do the havan, them kind of foolishness. So it cuts across puja to the funeral and Teshi Sanskar also, which you have to guard against. And people get confused. Sometimes people get confused. So that we have to be very careful. And this is why we need a Swahata strong program to train Pandits properly. Pandits is not just learning a mantra. Pandits is about how to be a leader, how to understand what to do, and how to do, when to do, and how to put people in a place in a nice way. So we have to make sure people do not direct the Pandit. The Pandit start like a bobuli, and the funeral home man doing everything. He telling what to do, the Pandit start waiting. All right, put the box inside now. So we have to be careful about that. It spills into the Anteshi Sanskar from the wedding. While the wedding got a different thing altogether. To the puja is Anteshi Sanskar. Pandits must rule. Pandits must know what they're doing.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the Pandits are the one who are conducting the ceremony, and obviously the Pandits are the one to give the directions. We spoke about evolution, and again in Swaha, just to bring up one more that has been very positive. In terms of how the Hardi was done, the Matikur, whatever term you use, we have dignified the way that is done. Through Swaha, we noticed that in the past, the way that when the Hardi is going on, persons are eating, they don't recognize as a puja. And, certain songs are being sung that are not appropriate and derogatory and all of that. We have started to introduce the singing of appropriate songs that would speak to the past of the ceremony that are taking place. And that is one of the change that, Swaha has introduced. And I think that has taken a lot of root. And now a Hardi is seen as something that is spiritual. Keep it within the right time. People sit, they participate, they understand. It's a religious ceremony. So again, that is attributed to the great work of Swaha. And of course, the initiatives by the Pandits to understand that this is something that needs changing. And of course, credit to our devotees, because they themselves understand. If they didn't understand, then we could only be talking. But the devotees of Swaha and of course of the national community, they understand the need for these things and they're open to being, guided in a positive way. Now, coming out of all of this again, questions that arises when you go puja and persons will send responses. There's this idea that on a certain day, we do a puja. So on a Tuesday, do a Hanuman puja. And persons will say, well, Pandit, I could do Ganesh puja on a Monday, or I could do Ganesh puja on a Tuesday. So, Pandit Ishwar, Pandit Gyandev, if you could just lend some enlightenment or some information on that. Is it that if you do a Ganesh puja on any day, is it that if it's a Tuesday, you should do a a Hanuman puja? How does that work? What advice can you give to our devotees to clarify any misunderstanding?
Thanks, Panaji. So the thing is, we know that there are certain days that ascribe greater significance for a particular devta or Devi, right? So for Devi Ma, certainly we know Friday. Devi Bhagwat mentions this, right? Then you would have for Lord Shiva, a Monday in particular is significant, right? So Somvar is important. Thursday also, another day. But at the same time, and for Hanumanji, of course, Tuesday and Saturday, these 2 days. But it does not mean that there are different occasions, or if you are having your puja, you cannot do your special offering for Hanuman. Let's say it's Navratri period, you have puja Durga Ashtami. And by the way, Durga Ashtami could fall any day. It doesn't have to be a Friday. So you have your puja is on the Sunday in Navratri. You're doing your Durga Puja. Why can't you Charhawa and make your offering for Hanumanji? Of course we do it. So then there are some who say, well, it's during that special time. That's why it's very auspicious and you could do it. Once there's nothing prohibiting it, meaning, and Pandit Gandhi made the point that other than Pitra Paksh, then what is the problem? Why should we have an issue doing certain types of puja? So I'm saying every day, but there are certain days that are more auspicious. So if you were to choose, you have to select a day, of course, to do for Baba to come, your Guruji to come and do your puja, Hanuman Baba puja, of course. You would tend to want a Saturday or maybe the Tuesday based on your the Pandit's availability, Guruji's availability, and your ability to do the puja also. But then there's nothing stopping it on other days, unless, as I said, the time in itself may be bad, and there are a number of reasons for that, which we won't go into now. And then I want to ask the question too. For those who, again, we many people say, well, we see it on the internet, you see it on ZTV, you see so many things. Does Siddhi Vinayak temple in Mumbai, it doesn't shut down on the other days, whether Tuesday or Wednesday, we believe for Lord Ganesh. Devi Mandir, or let's say Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain, or Kashi Vishwanath Mandir, where thousands, hundreds of thousands of devotees visit on a weekly basis. Those places don't shut down on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, on a Friday, because those are not days for Lord Shiva. People continue their worship and they visit these places every single day. And they travel thousands of miles, spend their whole life savings to go to that temple to Charhawi and make the offering on that day. So the point I could go on and say the same thing I said a few minutes ago, Pandit Amjad. Obviously, there are certain days that are ascribed greater importance, and if it is mentioned in scriptures, yes, we try and follow that as far as possible. But it is not always practical, it's not always reasonable, and it sometimes doesn't make sense at all. So excluding Hanuman Baba Puja, let's say on a Sunday, because it has to be done on a Saturday only, to me makes no sense. Once the timing is right, once other conditions are right, then you go ahead and do your puja, right? And then there are devotees who chant Hanuman Chalisa every single day. They worship Devi every single day, right? Lakshmi Mata, we light out there every single day. So some of these things, again, to me really makes no sense. But it goes down, it's deep in the psyche of our Hindu. Again, these are things that we are trying to extract and actually pull apart, the pure philosophy and separate that from what is just blind, how to put it, traditional following then, where you're doing something because you saw people doing it all the years past and you feel that that is the correct way. You don't understand why you're doing it. You don't understand the logic behind it. In fact, you don't care about the logic. You just feel that that's correct. We want to change that. Panagyandev?
Jared mentioned a very important concept. Doing puja on Tuesday for Hanuman Swami, as Ishwar said, etc. It brings up the question of time. There's a saying in Hinduism, Kala Ishwar Hai. Most of us don't understand the concept of time. Now, the fact that the most difficult thing to explain. If I ask you, today is Sunday in Trinidad. What is today in India? What is today in South Africa? So time becomes relative also. So when you talk about time, you do puja on time. Time is something which is very, very difficult to understand. And that is why we have the Hindu calendar, which most people don't understand. When Ishwar always does the Hindu calendar, Swami calendar every year. And it starts with the time, the new year, which in the year 2080, I think it is, starting on the 22nd of this month. So that the Hindu New Year, day one, starting 22nd of March in the non-Hindu calendar. So when you talk about time is very, very, I would say, subjective to where we are. And when you look, I just did a little research here, and it says, I just mentioned briefly, you know how many calendars we have? Gregorian calendar, Julian calendar, Hindu calendar, Buddhist calendar, Islamic calendar. You have maybe about 15 or 14 calendars, and each one in their own way. None is right, none is wrong, It depends on the people and who brought it up. So we follow the Hindu calendar, with the Vikram somewhat we deal with. So as far as doing puja is concerned, you can say Tuesday. Tuesday, who gave the name Tuesday? Who gave the day of the week Tuesday? Do you know the Romans? But we didn't follow that. We followed the graph system with the planetary settings, and how we got the days. Somar, Monday, Itwar, Sunday, Mangalwar, Tuesday. Mangal means peace. Budhawar, the Brahma, Wednesday. So we didn't follow the Roman system. When it translates them on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But we follow the graph system. And that by itself is a big problem. What is that graph? We come on that today. That will take a more deep discussion. So the concept of time, when to do puja, it goes back to the same thing Ishwar said. You do puja with bhakti on any day. But because of a system, you mentioned this previously, if a Navratri you want to worship Durga Ma, fine. If a Shivratri you want to worship Krishna Bhagwan, then you break down the system. So they put a system in place, not for God, this is for us. Man is like that. Man think in compartments. So I like to hear Durga Mata Friday, right? Fine. Let me go with that. I can understand that. This is why we have murtis also. This is why Prahlad Katha is important. When Hiranyakasipu asked, is God in that pillar? Prahlad said, yes, God is everywhere, even that pillar. This is why you put a stone, use a stone, using a murti, using a pitya. God is present everywhere. So we have to understand those concepts, which are so deep in Hinduism. So the concept of time, place, circumstance, all this comes in. So when to do puja, we follow the system put in place by our ancestors. And as I said, I want to emphasize this. We do this next time, Panajairat. The concept of Vikram Samvat, the Hindu calendar, the Hindu year. Because many people don't understand it. But he's sure the expert on that. He will talk more about that when he comes to that. Because he does this Hindu calendar. When it starts, when it ends, what is the new moon, what is the Krishna Paksh, Shukla Paksh, all those things. So bear it in mind. Time is very relevant, time very objective, is relevant to the situation we are in. So we follow the Islamic calendar have their own calendar. The Christians have their own calendar. The Romans have their own calendar. The Hindus have their own calendar. None is right, none is wrong. It's how we started counting. This is our system of counting. But the counting starts from Hinduism. The counting system, the system 1, 2, 3, 0, 0 starts from Hinduism. But how we count, how we make a calendar, depends on the people and where we are. So you can do puja for a system any day you want. But remember, devotion.
So thanks both pundits for clarifying that, and just one more issue that comes up, which again the explanation will be the same. There's this idea that on people ask the question, Pandit, can you do a odd number, even number? You have to do 1, 3, 5, 7. You can't do 2. You can't do 4. Right? The explanation is the same. All of those things don't matter. What matters the most is that we do, puja with the right love, the right faith, the right belief. And in so doing, that is where the blessing comes. The ritual is there. The ritual is important. But as we said, the power of the ritual really comes from us and the way that we, engage ourselves, we prepare ourselves, the state of the mind, etc. And we have had some wonderful discussions today from both pundits, speaking about these two aspects of rituals, both the vidhi part of it, what is prescribed in terms of format, and the attitude by which you are supposed to perform our puja. We only have about 3 minutes or so remaining. So what I'll do, I'll just pass over to Pandit Ishwar, who will, as the president of Swaha, probably give us some short updates on what we can expect from the organization in the near future, and to end with a closing prayer as he normally does. Panditji?
Right, thanks, Pandit. So firstly, on behalf of Swaha, Pandit Gyandev did mention it. We want to extend sincere condolences to Pandit Manideo Prasad and his Dharmapati, Mrs. Rohini Prasad, on the passing of Mr. Bhual Boise Singh. Many individuals knew him by that name. His father-in-law, who's of course married to his mother-in-law, Mrs. Leela Singh. He was a tremendous supporter of Swaha, many of the initiatives of Swaha, and was a senior advisory member of Sri Ram Dham. So certainly, Panditji and the entire family and the extended Singh family, we want to say our condolences, our thoughts, and our prayers are with you, and we pray for the Atma, the soul of this great individual. So we also would have seen wonderful celebrations, Pagwa celebrations throughout many of our centers. Swaha also, IETV in particular, here has partnered with the National Pagwa Council this year. And definitely, I'm sure many of our devotees today, I can say it, we are recording the program today, which is the morning of Pagwa. Many would be enjoying this wonderful festive occasion. We would have dealt with Narsingh Bhagwan and Hiranyakashipu and all of that before. But I want devotees to prepare themselves now for this new year, Vikram Samvat 2080, 57 years ahead of the regular Western or Gregorian calendar. So that entails fasting, preparation, getting yourselves ready for the 9 days of special worship, the Devima, which culminates, of course, with Ram Janam, and closely followed by Hanuman Jayanti. So next week, we'll be talking about that. So in our program next week, Panditji and the Panagyanda, we want to thank you again for your contribution. We will be dealing with the Hindu New Year, Vikram Samvat, and I will talk a little bit about some of the initiatives of the new Swaha executive for this new year 2080. So we all join together in prayer. And today, of course, the day where as people celebrate Pagwa, remember Sri Krishna Bhagwan also, who loved to play Pagwa and Holi. And we're also praying also, we remember the family of Pandit Mahidev Prasadji. So I ask that we focus upon Krishna Bhagwan and Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Boli Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Swaha Mata ki jai, Satya Sanatan Dharma ki jai. Sitaram viewers, and do join us again next week.